Securities offered through Kestra Investment Services, LLC, Kestra IS, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Kestra Advisory Services, LLC, Kestra AS, an affiliate of Kestra IS. Capital Advisory Group, Inc. is not affiliated with Kestra IS or Kestra AS. Neither Kestra IS nor Kestra AS provide legal or tax advice and are not certified public accounting firms.
You work hard for your money. For the next hour, you're going to learn how to keep what's yours. Capital Advisory Group presents Keep What's Yours. Here is Josh Gilbert and Jeff Zufall.
Hello and welcome to Keep What's Yours with Jeff Zufall. I'm Josh Gilbert, sitting here with Jeff Zufall. He is the Senior Tax Strategist and Wealth Advisor with Capital Advisory Group. Hello, Jeff.
Hi, happy Saturday.
Talking taxes again on a Saturday.
It's tax season, too, so
it is tax
in the season.
Can't believe you've got enough time to tear away.
Every once in a while.
We're going to talk in a second about the peak day for people to do start doing their own taxes. It's coming up here's a hint. It's coming up in 2 days. But we'll talk about that in just a second. But the biggest news of the week, as always, inflation.
Yes.
We'll touch on that. Do my tax returns get easy when I retire? I'll ask you about that. My mom called me up and she said, hey, can you just take my taxes into Jeff when you go? And it's like, okay, well, I'll get you on the phone. No, you don't need. You can answer any questions that he has. I'm old. My taxes are easy.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, I wonder if that's actually true. So we'll get into that as well. Ameren is offering tax deductions and credits. If you live in the state of Illinois and you got a COVID credit from last year, you don't have to put it on your tax return.
It's not taxable.
We'll get into
You have to put it on your tax return, but it's not taxable.
It's not taxable. There. That better. See, this is why you go and see Jeff and you don't go and see me. But we'll start with inflation just because it is in the news, and that is what everybody's got an eye on. Inflation, is it up or down?
It's down. It's 6.4% is the new number for January of 23. So you go, great.
And I have to remind myself, I don't know what that number means. Target inflation year over year is about 2.5%.
The Fed's target on inflation is 2 to 2.5%.
Okay.
And they haven't deviated from that lately. There is a talk of maybe raising that target just a little bit, but typically it's 2 to 2.5%.
So and this has been for years.
Yes.
So every year, the things that we get should cost 2.5% more than they did last year.
Yes.
As of right now, our current inflation is 6.5%.
Yes. So it's come down a little bit, but you got to take into consideration.
It was at 9 or 10%.
Yeah, we were at I'll say 9% was our max last year, but the Fed also raised interest rates 7 times through 2022, a 4.5% increase in interest rates. And you go, wow. And so that brought down, we'll say, 2% on the overall inflation. So from a number standpoint that the White House puts out, they're loving these numbers. But in reality of it is that still our prices, that what we pay for goods and services are 6.5% higher than what they were a year ago today. So that's simple.
It's
still out there.
It's that simple.
And that's just the average. So like what we were looking at before, this is the funny part, as this is a breakdown for inflation for the month of January itself. So what would you think would be the highest inflated product out there that you could get for January?
Just because we've seen it everywhere and it's so mind-boggling weird, eggs.
Eggs are the highest one. Now get this, it's 70.1% inflation on eggs. So you go, okay, maybe there's some factors behind it.
We just talked about bird flu with our doctor during the week.
Yeah.
No, there really isn't any, chance of us catching bird flu unless we, eat a bunch of raw chickens.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. And the chickens have to have bird flu.
Yes.
But you don't want to do any of that stuff. But bird flu being what it is, a bunch of chicken crops or farms had to cull a bunch of their flocks. So eggs are
a premium.
70% just because
70%.
It's supply and demand, right?
Yeah. So it's off the charts because literally the next one is butter and margarine. So if you notice this trend, it's kind of like food and fuel, which are the two items that the Fed takes out of their inflation factors, butter and margarine up 32.5%.
For butter.
For butter. So it's just like, wow, wait. The next one, which is funny, is fuel oil. So this isn't what you put, in your car. This is for heating your home, is up 27.7. And again, I will repeat that the Fed, for their 6.4 inflation factor, what is taken out of that is food and oil.
The only things that I actually spend money on.
Yeah, that you're forced to spend money on.
Right.
The next one is basically what they call gas or utility piped gas services are up 26.7.
That would be like Laclede.
Yeah, so natural gas being pumped in.
Gas, yeah.
So being a moron, we got a new gas fireplace because I was too lazy to go split wood and drag it in the house. And we got gas fireplaces. And I got my first gas bill a couple of weeks ago. And I was stunned on how it just skyrocketed through the roof.
Holy cow.
But, it was a new gas fireplace. Everybody's got to, turn it on and watch it burn gas. And it costs money.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah. And so airfare, 25.6. Motor vehicle repair, 23. Frozen vegetables, out of the blue again, 18.6. Lettuce, 17. I wonder if that had anything to do with bird flu. No.
Right.
Public transportation, 17%. So those are government supplemented transportation, Metrolink, bus service, whatever you want to call it, up 17. So the people that need that get hit the highest, which is crazy. You've got cereal and bakery products at 15%, pet food 15%, motor vehicle insurance at 14%.
Now, why would that go up?
That's what I mean.
Why would that skyrocket
random,
14%?
Yeah, random things.
That doesn't make any sense.
None.
Are people getting into more accidents because eggs are more expensive?
They're racing to get the last eggs on the shelf.
Yeah, supply and demand doesn't really make any sense when it comes to something like car insurance.
Yeah, it's crazy. And that's the stuff that you're for. I mean, I think it's in your state of Missouri, you have to buy at least liability insurance, so you're forced to buy it. Electricity is at 11.9. And then it says, as this caveat, it says food at home. I'm assuming that's groceries in general, is 11.3. Then it goes into all kinds of stuff. Energy was up 8.7. But the funny part is we can all go buy new TVs because a TV went down by 13.2%.
Oh, negative 13%.
Negative. So the price dropped by 13.5% or 13.2%.
For televisions.
For television.
Okay.
So this is, again, how random this is. Used cars and trucks were down by 11%.
Well, they were up by 50%.
Yeah. My midlife crisis is over because I can't afford it no more. Computers are down 6.2. Here's one. Women's dresses were down 4.2%. Just, I don't know where that is. And major appliances were down 3.9. So bacon was down 3.92. So,
well, bacon's been really expensive for years.
Crazy expensive. Yeah. And then it says uncooked beef steaks. So I'm assuming that is just uncooked beef.
Yeah.
Down, 3%. So
I guess cooked beef would be what I go to a restaurant and
that would be all food, I guess.
Yeah. So
just random. This is for the month of January, kind of bringing everything forward. So the extreme, and again, if this is radio, you can't see it, but on a chart, the eggs just literally shoot across the page by being up 70%. Everything else kind of stays in line from there. But still, I mean, you've got butter and margarine up 32. Why?
Yeah, what's the reason? What is the reason for that? I mean, milk. What is milk?
Milk was on here, too. It was 11%.
So milk is 11%, but butter and margarine is 30%.
Triple that.
Yeah.
So crazy stuff. And this is Wall Street Journal. This came out just, I guess, Tuesday.
But the inflation is average at 6.4%.
6.4.
Doesn't include any of these
X,
things.
Food and oil.
Minus food and oil. Again, the only things that we actually pay for.
Yeah. And the reason why they do that is in the 80s when inflation was skyrocketing through the roof, they had to figure out a way to tamp it down just a touch. So they decided to revamp the way that they do inflation, and they took those items out, hoping to streamline inflation as they went forward. So,
I mean, I understand, oil or gasoline for our cars, that goes up and down.
Up and down.
And who knows why.
There could be a windstorm in the Gulf and, gas
Yeah.
goes up by $1.50 a gallon.
Who knows why? Good luck trying to figure that out.
No.
But, food prices should be relatively stable, but here we are. Here's a whole list of them.
Whole list that are off the charts.
For whatever reason. But I'm guessing things like pillows and,
That's not on here, but
right. But that would be the 6.4%, right?
Exactly. Just everything else. And
Everything else.
They're trying to, I guess, normalize that, equalize it, whatever you want to call it. So 6.4 is a norm, is an average going forward. So,
all right. So that is where we're at as far as inflation goes. It's coming down.
It's slowly,
whatever
but
the Fed is doing, maybe it's working.
So let's say that they raised rates 4.5% in 2022, and they got it down 2%. If you do the math on that, it's going to take it a little bit to get to that target of 2.5. And again, so the Fed says that they're going to lower. They're going to slow growth, the interest rate hikes for 2023, which in February they did. It was only a half. So you really haven't heard anything from them lately. But again, they'll probably have to continually raise rates through 2023 to keep that trend going down.
And all of this has everything to do with us because do you buy eggs? Do you buy butter? Do you buy fuel?
Everything.
Do you buy gasoline?
Unfortunately, our economy is based upon consumption, period. And so that's what they're looking. That's why they got consumer price index, which went up 0.5%, which is easiest way to explain that is what you would pay for our goods or services. So it went up 0.5%, but inflation came down by, I think, 0.2. So,
yeah. And, it's one of those things where you say, well, maybe I won't buy eggs or maybe I can live without eggs. I'll eat cereal. Cereal's up too, though.
Yeah.
But you got to eat.
You
got to get to
work. You
work.
don't have any choice. Yeah.
Right. You got to get gas, you know. Oh, if you don't like it, just don't buy gas. Great. I'll be hitchhiking.
Ride your bike. It's 30 degrees outside, so good luck.
the bus to work. Well, that's up too.
Yeah.
So everybody is getting hit with it on all sides. We'll keep you posted as always. Coming up, let's take a break, but we'll come back and we'll talk. The IRS, they're vowing to do a better job this year when it comes to answering their phones, when it comes to helping us get our tax returns even filed.
Yes.
What if I have a question about something? Who do I turn to? I always personally just turn to Jeff Zufall.
That's right.
And I have him do my taxes for me. Did you watch the Super Bowl? Were you happy with the outcome?
I did.
Yeah.
I was happy.
Yeah. It was good. It was a good game.
I won't tell you that I went to bed after halftime.
Oh.
I passed out on the couch, and then I woke up at 2 a.m, looked at my iPad, and I was like, yeah, we won.
Yeah. Well, look, it's officially tax season, so
it
this
is
Jeff's busy time. But there was a commercial during the Super Bowl, and it was for one of these tax preparers, and it was some guy, and he was dancing in front of a fountain, and I think the gist of it was, don't waste your time trying to do your own taxes when you could be out dancing in front of a fountain.
That's
or whatever it is you want to do. That's kind of what we've been saying for years.
All along. Yes.
With Jeff Zufall. Have Jeff do your taxes for you. He can't be any more expensive than what those companies on TV are going to try to charge you. So
We're
Jeff
very fair.
do it. And here's the best part. When Jeff looks at your taxes, he's going to say, what are you doing to lower your tax bill every year? What are you doing to try to keep more of what's yours? You go to a faceless, anonymous tax preparer.
It is what it is.
They're just going to, write your numbers down and submit your taxes. They don't care about you. They, frankly, they're all temporary employees anyway.
Bulk of them are. Yeah.
And, if you send it off someplace, nameless, faceless,
This is something that I've kind of stumbled onto. I've heard more and more people talking about it. It's been in our industry for years. The issue today is you can't really find, there's no young people getting into the accounting side, the tax side.
I saw that, yes.
So what it is they're shipping your tax returns overseas.
Holy cow.
So they send a company, and so you go, and they're paying them. I think that the quote that I saw was an email that's sent, and I always read those. And I'm like, But it was like if you had OK prepare, it was $15 an hour. If you had an expert prepare, it was $30 an hour.
Oh, my gosh.
And you take and package these up and send them out. So apparently, there's some huge CPA firms that are doing that because they say, hey, we can't find the people. So instead of us working, an extra 10 hours a week, we're just going to ship them overseas. They ship them back completed. They stamp their name on it and call it a day.
Holy cow.
So
that's crazy.
So on a tax return, whether people realize this or not, everything you need is on a tax return. I mean, Social Security numbers, birthdays, address, income, where your brokerage statements are, where your income comes from. It's on a tax return. So those are getting shipped overseas. It better be done on a very safe and secure,
Yeah. Well,
So-
you think China is stealing your information with TikTok.
Yeah, it's
what
nothing
if they
compared
send
to
your
this.
tax returns over to India?
So there's some ethical issues that are happening today. But, and they're
I've
like,
seen that story. Kids don't want to be accountants
They
anymore.
don't. It's boring. If they do, they go corporate because it sounds crazy, but and most of the college courses are geared towards corporate taxes. And when you say corporate, Walmart's, Coca-Cola's.
GE hasn't paid taxes in years.
Exactly.
because they
Huge
have a bunch of
corporations
people.
where they have 200 accountants or 300 accountants that are all sitting there doing their little piece of the puzzle. Whereas in the small business arena, it's a totally different, it's more of a personal standpoint. You got to crunch the numbers. You need to know, hey, do this, don't do that type of a setup.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of wild.
So regardless if you pick the expert tax preparer or you pick I'll just go with the so-so guy.
$7 an hour.
Yeah, I'll do the cheap one. See if they even come back.
Yeah.
But the point being, they don't know who you are and they don't care who you are.
Yeah.
When Jeff looks at your taxes and does your tax return for you, you have a conversation with him. You say, hey, Jeff, I heard you guys doing the radio show. I want to keep more of what's mine.
Exactly.
I want it to get to a point where Jeff's walking down the street, going into the coffee shop and people in the, hey, Jeff, I want to keep what's mine. What is that? Aaron Rodgers discount double check. I want
Double
people
check.
yelling at you saying, I want to keep more of what's mine.
I'll take his paycheck.
Yeah, exactly. But you just say, Jeff, I want to keep more of what's mine. Can we do something? Can we do what Josh does for his son's school?
That's
or
right.
Can we do
Trademark.
Yeah, something for my I got a lot of medical bills that I know I pay every year. Is there something I can do where I can get a health savings account started?
Yeah.
Where I can pay for this. I'm going to have to pay for it anyway. Might as well use
Do it on a pre-tax or a tax-free
pre-tax money.
basis. Yeah.
Rather than pay the government as far as taxes go, they'll let you keep some of that money to pay for your medical
Exactly.
bills.
Yeah.
So, essentially, if you're not doing it that way, then you pay your taxes and you pay the full price of the medical
Exactly.
bills. Why not use some of
Yeah.
that tax money to pay your own medical bills?
Exactly. That's the key.
This stuff is out there. So unless you have Jeff do your taxes for you, if you go overseas and have some English as a second language preparer do it, nobody's going to come back and
worry about this or do this.
I don't even know if the guy down the street who's a temporary worker is going to
Most
push
of
you
them
into things like
most
that.
of them don't.
Yeah, why do they
it's
care?
It's
It's turn and burn.
Yeah, the numbers are there. They plug them in. As long as they put them in the right line, who cares?
Get them in, get them out.
Call it a day. Yeah. Yeah.
So have someone who actually knows what's going on, who has some ideas that can help you out. Taxes isn't just April 15th. It's
ongoing. Yes.
Ongoing. Every time you get a paycheck, look at your check stub and just see, where's my money going?
Exactly.
And how can I keep a little bit more of this on the good side of the paycheck stub and not on the government side?
Yep.
636-394-5524. That's what we do here on the show. That's what Jeff does every day of his life. And these days, since it is tax time, 7 days a week.
Yes.
Even on Super Bowl Sunday.
That's right.
636-394-5524, CapitalAdvisoryGrp.com. Just Google Jeff Zufall, Capital Advisory Group. Find him. Give him a call, 636-394-5524. When we come back, what's the busiest day of the year for people to try to do their own taxes? We'll tell you right after this.
Keep What's Yours continues with Josh Gilbert and Jeff Zufall.
Back on the Big 550 KTRS, back to Keep What's Yours with Jeff Zufall. I'm Josh Gilbert. Jeff Zufall is the senior tax strategist and wealth advisor with Capital Advisory Group. If you like what you heard last segment, if you want to reach out to Jeff and just say, look, I want to dance in front of a fountain instead of doing my taxes. There's the other one where the guy's sleeping on the couch with his baby.
That's right.
And, they're like, don't do your own taxes, because they don't want to wake the guy up. Don't do your own taxes. Have someone else do them for you. Yeah. We're going to piggyback off of those
That's
national corporations, the tax preparers, and just say, don't do your own taxes. We've been telling you for years. Why spend all of that time? And look, this past week it goes to show you it could get warm.
Exactly. On a just boom, gets
on a
70
random
degrees.
February,
That's right.
Day after.
I had to shut my blinds.
Yeah, because it was beautiful outside.
It was perfect out
because
there.
Jeff's busy. He'll stay in while it's nice outside. Yes. Why stay inside when it's nice outside and you can have someone else do your taxes for? Number one, it's not something that we want to do.
No.
It's like there's chores around the house that I don't mind doing. I don't mind mowing the lawn,
Yeah.
Throw some towels in and hit start, you got 50 minutes until they're done to do whatever.
Take a nap.
Yeah, that's where you take it. The taxes is sitting there staring at papers, staring at receipts until you go googly-eyed. And Jeff, I am not a numbers guy.
That's a lot of people are not.
I'm a bit wordy, okay? But when it comes to the numbers,
you're like,
frankly, it's all Greek, and I think technically some of them are Greek.
They are.
So don't do your own taxes. Have Jeff do them for you. Get the time back. What's your time worth?
Exactly. That's the question of the day.
That's basically what Jeff's been saying. What is the busiest day of the year, peak day, for people to try to start doing their own taxes?
President's Day.
So 2 days from now, President's Day. Why? I guess you got the day off from work.
Day off. You figure, all right, it's February. I got to worry about this. And so the problem is you sit down, and what the IRS is actually referencing is they're saying avoid the rush. So apparently their phone system, so they've hired, and we've talked about this, they've hired, 5,000 new, I'll call them agents if you want to call them that, to man the service center to answer the phones. Can't say that we've seen a spike yet, where they answer the phone immediately, but 5,000 is a good start.
5,000 new employees. They're already
up, going, answering
the
phones.
Payroll.
Yes. So that's what they're saying is that it's the busiest day for the IRS to call. So if you remember, I think they said last 2 years, that 13% of the phone calls were answered. And I believe that they were shooting for 80% this year was their performance mark. So
isn't that funny that government jobs say 80% is our goal?
You're like, what?
What about the other 20%?
Yeah, no, they don't count. So
well, we're currently at 13%, so you'll take what you can get.
Exactly. So even if they went to 50% or they went to 26%, those are huge number increases. So
So just keep in mind, if you're like, well, I was going to do my taxes on President, I was going to sit down and start looking at it. Well, so is everybody else.
Our office is open. Call us.
Yeah. And let me ask you this: somebody off the street, you, me, someone is trying to do their taxes. They run into a little bit of a hill. They find a number online somewhere to call. What are the questions they're asking? And is this stuff that you guys
could take
this
care
old
of?
hat?
Yeah. Well, yeah. But again, we don't want to get in the middle of, if you're doing your return and you go, oh, what's the, where am I at here? Because we could give you bad advice by not seeing the whole picture.
Right. But what I'm saying is questions I might come up with while doing my own taxes. You probably sit down with my taxes and just breeze right through. Yeah. You don't have to call the IRS because you've seen this.
Ours is more.
You've seen it once. You've seen it 1,000 times.
Ours is more software provider, the weirdest stuff that you've ever seen. you key something in and it should be pushed to another form, but it doesn't. We got to call a software provider, have them figure out what in the world's going on with our software.
But the typical tax questions, can I claim this? Can
exactly
I not claim
would
that?
be.
You guys already know all that stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So,
but that's the norms. I'm saying, hey, could I claim my parents? Or how do I claim my parents?
Right.
Could I claim my girlfriend's daughter on my return? Weird stuff like that. And all of those are maybe, it depends upon the circumstances.
Right.
But typically you got to provide 50% of their well-being, and they have to live with you.
I got to imagine that there's people out there that have said, man, I did my own taxes, and if I spent 3 hours, I spent 30 hours
exactly
just trying to pull all this stuff together over the course of a month, whereas you probably could have sat down with it and just breezed right through it.
Yeah.
Just because take the benefit of somebody who's been doing it for 30 plus years.
And hey, don't do that, do this.
Right.
But again, if you have a return, and again, there's a free file for the IRS. If I think you're under 70,000, I believe, you can free file W-2. Basically, that's it. Short, sweet, and simple.
But
again,
you get your first job out of college.
Yeah, but there's no planning put into that process. It's just a free file service. That's it. So if you say, hey, I made $80,000 or $70,000 last year, there's a ton of stuff that you could do. Employee benefit programs that you could reduce those. Exactly.
Like what I'm doing with the flex spending account, what you can do with a health savings account.
Nobody would see to say, oh, hey, worry about this, or here's a suggestion, do this. Mm-hmm. It's just, hey, you got it for free. Have a nice day.
And, I'll be honest with you, Jeff. My first year of my first job out of college, everything that I got was spent on, entertainment. Let's just call it entertainment. I was still living at home with my parents. They weren't asking me for rent yet. Entertainment. But year 2 through 5, that's when I started looking and say, what can I sock away? What can I take advantage of? What, if I took $100 out of every paycheck and never saw it, I could still get by. I could still be entertained.
That's right.
And be doing something responsible, with my money, saving up so that 65-year-old Josh could be well entertained.
Exactly.
So let me help my future self out. And that's what Jeff can do for you. A tax person isn't just here for April.
Exactly.
You're here for every time I get paid, what more can I be doing? I call it, you talk about trademark, I call it paycheck gymnastics.
That's right.
What more can I do to bend
and twist that thing?
Twist this paycheck without breaking it?
Yeah.
And that'll set me up for later in life or set me up for the end of next year.
Exactly. Yeah.
Tax preparation isn't just, getting your stuff together for a couple of weeks and filing your taxes. It's starting now until the end of next year. It's starting now and going 5, 10, 15 years down the road.
Yep, exactly.
Because it's going to come time where you start needing to take some money out in retirement.
And then that's the question is it taxable? Should it be taxable? How much is taxable?
Well, what have you done to make sure that you've limited the taxes that you're paying on it? I wanted to ask you this because you had mentioned that younger people who maybe just have, one W-2, it's pretty easy. You can file for free online.
Yeah.
And, if I brought you my son's taxes, you'd probably tell me, well, you could do this online in 15 minutes.
Could. But once we load it in the system, we have tons of clients. We do, their kids return. They worked at McDonald's and they, made $3,000, but they paid $100 into the system. You want it because that is a refund coming back out.
Right.
So anybody that's under, 18, 19-ish, zero tax, don't pay it, don't have to, they don't owe it.
What about people, we always, I think it was Jerry Seinfeld who had the joke that when you're, 16 years old, you're taking tickets at the front of the movie theater, enjoy your show. And then you go off and you do your whole life. And then when you retire and you're 65, you're back to taking tickets at the front of the movie theater.
Our job is to keep you from doing that.
And the more crass thing is you're born in diapers and you die in diapers. What happened in the in-between.
Yes.
But when it comes to our taxes, I told you my mom gave me, I'm going to give you my tax, and just bring them to Jeff when you go. Yeah. And they'll be easy because I'm old. And my question was, well, how come it's easier when you get older? I would think it'd be a little bit harder.
That's a yes, but a no. And I say yes, but a no. It depends upon what you have. If you just have a pension and you're not really managing
my dad's
anything,
got a pension. Everything's the same every month, right?
I mean, and I've had that thrown to me. Somebody calls on the phone and says, hey, will you do my taxes? I'm like, sure. And I've learned from experience now, I ask, can I see it first?
Yeah, right.
I want to see it because they're like, well, it's easy. And it looks easy. They never prepared it themselves, but it has 10 K1s and you got to wait till, the end of March before you even get the K1s. And it's, just crazy. So that's why I say there's some situations where it is easier, and the more, I call it assets that you have, the harder your return gets as you go forward. So when people say, oh, I have an easy return, it makes me go,
Yeah, well, let me be the judge of that.
So,
and then I had a question about pensions. Yeah. My dad was a school teacher, public school teacher for 40 years, and he's got a pension now. And my first question was, does he get his pension and get Social Security?
Not off the teachers. So the teachers' retirement program.
It's one or the other.
It's one or the other. So, and I should say one or the other. It's exempt from Social Security for that pension itself. So it doesn't mean that in the summers when he was off, he went to go work for anybody else. He would pay into Social Security.
Any other job outside of it. And,
exactly.
And it's because it's a government job.
That's
you're
exactly
a public
why.
school teacher, you're working for the government, state of Missouri, whatever. Instead of paying into Social Security every paycheck,
you're paying into the
pension.
The pension program.
Okay, so he'd be a zero.
Yeah. It's
as far as the Social Security office was concerned. What about all those jobs he had when he was a teenager?
Well, they all count.
So he'll get a little bit.
If he had if he had the numbers running, and he worked part-time in the summers, when college, high school, et cetera, they all kind of count. Not that much, but
well, I'll have to ask him. I'll have to, because he worked in the summers. He worked for pools. He ran pools. And he got paychecks that way.
if he was paying in on
that wasn't part of his pension.
Yeah, had nothing to do with the pension, had nothing to do with the school district, then he would actually get two.
Do all pensions work like this, or just government employees?
Just governmental. Yeah,
because they're like
school districts and certain sides of the government don't pay into Social Security because of the pension that they have.
Well, let me ask you this to help me figure this out more. Is Social Security, every time I pay into that, is that specifically designed strictly for when I retire?
Yes.
Okay, so
retire
if I have a pension running
become
at
disabled.
Okay, so if I have a pension running at the same time, I'm not paying into both. You're picking one or the other.
Exactly.
If I'm a government employee.
If you're exactly. Yeah.
If I'm a government employee.
Our teachers, like the way that the teachers' retirement system, there is a windfall provision that says, hey, if you worked, for being a teacher and paid in the system, but literally every night after you left school, you went to go work someplace, you built up this huge Social Security dollars. There's a windfall provision that does a calculation to keep you from getting too much, if you want to call it that. Yeah.
But the government's like, we're not going to make you pay both. We're not going to double. We're going to do one or the other.
Yeah.
What if I'm doing a pension at my work? Maybe, a GM pension or Ford, the Ford plant. Am I paying Social Security as well?
Yeah. As you earn that income, you would be paying in the Social Security system.
So currently I pay Social Security and I sock some money away in my 401k.
Exactly.
So it works the same way.
Exactly. So the old school used to be the old Ford, the old Chrysler plant in Fenton, Ford and Hazelwood. The employer was on the hook for those contributions into the pension plan. So, and the performance of that pension plan going forward. And when the 401ks came out, then they went, hey, wait, we can shift this. we don't have to take that liability anymore to make sure that money's there when it's needed. We'll put it on the employee. Mm-hmm. So that's you're paying into Social Security and at the same token put money in your 401k. Social Security you have zero control over, other than when you take it. The flip of that is your 401k, you're now on the hook for contribution amounts on an annual basis, performance on an annual basis, and is it going to be enough money when you retire? So the employer shifted it back to the employee over time and said, it's your problem now, not ours.
Yeah,
so,
we don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
Which I completely understand. Did companies like that have whole office staffs?
Oh, yeah.
To run these things?
To run it, yeah. Are they subject? So like you just explained, Ford and GM, and I believe it's Prudential just bought their entire pension.
Oh, I see.
It's a huge. Okay. It's got a lot of zeros behind it. They bought it. Now Prudential is running it. Is running that pension.
And they're investing the money.
Sure.
And hopefully making
they get
some money
access to this huge bucket of money. They get to go invest it as they see fit, but as what the objectives are of that pension plan.
Who determines year over year how much more those pensions get paid out? I mean, Social Security increases year over year because of inflation.
They do actuarial calculations that say, hey, you're 30, you're going to retire at 62. Here's what needs to be put in today, and here's what its rate of return has to be to get you to that point.
Right.
So there's an ongoing huge blocks of actuarial calculations, and that's pure math to figure out, hey, do we need to increase, decrease? Yeah. If it doesn't make that performance marker, what takes place? So everybody that's in a union, anybody that's in an old true pension plan annually gets a report that's kicked off. Nobody reads them, and it says, hey, we're funded at X level, and it could be 92%, 95%. I think if you slip below 70%, maybe, I'm not sure exactly what that number is. That's when the feds kind of say, wait, what's going on here? And they step in and start to help out.
Yeah. So that's pure unadulterated math.
Oh, pure.
That's the gross. That's the gross stuff.
That'll make your head spin in a circle twice.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I got one more question, just because I'm thinking about my own 401k. If I put money into a mutual fund or into an ETF, or I'm just putting money into, and I'm watching it on my iPhone app, and it's down today, it's down tomorrow. It doesn't matter where it's at until I go to cash it out, right?
Yes.
But year over year, is it gaining more and more interest?
Yes, but no.
Okay.
So it depends. The first thing to look at is, what is your time horizon? If you are 66 and you're going to retire next year, that's an issue because you've lost a ton of money. The market, you will always, I say this in a roundabout sense, you will always need the market because you're looking for an increase in rate of return that you couldn't get previously in fixed income. So if you parked it, like right now, you could get 3.5, 3.7 in a money market. So that's the beauty of increased interest rates over the last 14 months, is now you make money to sit in cash.
Yeah. I don't have as much to sock away, though, because my eggs cost 70% more.
But a year ago today, if you were in a money market, you made 0.15, 0.2 tops. And that's 0.2%. Today, you're at 3.7. So again, that time horizon, what do you got out there? And even if you have that 401k and you're going to retire, you still are going to live, what's your life expectancy? Male, I think, is 84. Female is 86, 87, something like that is what the average life expectancy is. You still need that money to go forward from there. So from an annual ongoing, it depends. You could have something that is growth-based, which means, hey, you bought it today at $10 a share. You want it to be $11 next year. The problem is that could go to 14 and it could go to 6.
Yeah.
And it's all over the place. Versus having a piece of your investment portfolio that is going to look for dividends and growth.
Yes.
So
and the dividends actually puts money back into your account without selling off anything.
Exactly. Not selling anything. So if you're sitting on Coca-Cola, and I only say that because they pay a really good dividend, it's kicking off this dividend. The dividend could go to cash, or the dividend could go to buy you more shares.
Stock, yeah.
And you just let
Either
it roll
way,
forward.
you're increasing.
Exactly. Whereas if it was growth oriented, that's most of the tech sector today, which is down 28%, I think, on average.
Right.
Which means you bought it at $10 a share, and for whatever reason, which I still can't understand, Apple, everybody's got an iPhone, but all of a sudden Apple, is trading down 18%.
See, well, I mean, you want to talk to me about how stocks work? I don't get it either. They could have had a great year, and still their stock price went down. Reason.
Yeah. So, but that's the nature of the market, and that's why diversity and your time horizon and your risk tolerance are the three keys when you do that.
So if I put $5,000 into a growth account, that will always be $5,000.
No,
just depending on when. But if I cashed out and it's up, it's more. If I cash out and it's down, it's
you
less.
could put $5,000 into a growth oriented stock, and it could be go to zero tomorrow.
Right.
I mean,
okay.
WorldCom,
right.
3Com.
I'm never gonna be able to increase my initial,
what's referenced as a cost basis, which is what you put into that to start with.
Yes.
The only way you could is if you had dividends reinvested.
I'm not going to get exponential growth. I'm not going to get.
If you had dividends reinvested, it would increase that basis. So if you started with $5,000, even though your account balance goes to $3,000, because of whatever took place, and it pays $100 dividend the next day. Your cost basis now is $5,100.
$100.
And it just kind of rolls from there. And that's what people are looking at going, hey, wait. But if that dividend was paid to cash, it really wasn't reinvested, so it does not increase your basis, hypothetically.
Well, that's what I need to talk to you about when we come in. We bring you our taxes every year, and every time we sit down with you, and we chat every week. Yeah. But as far as my personal stuff, me and my wife, we sit down and we talk to you about once a quarter. Yeah. And I think that's good. And we always say taxes aren't just an April thing. It's an ongoing thing. So chatting with you once a quarter just to make sure that we're still on the straight and narrow. Yeah. My wife wants to be a little bit more aggressive when it comes to her retirement fund, so maybe we're going to move some things around. You can help. You can do our taxes, but you can also help us out with that stuff as well.
Exactly.
And you can help me. You're gonna. I'm going to turn the microphones off.
It just went to 72. So
yeah, we're going to turn the microphones off here, and I'm going to start asking you all these other questions. I'm going to pull up my own personal. My app. I'm going to get my app going. Now, Jeff, how can I make this number bigger?
That's right.
So you can do that for us as well. 636-394-5524. But just like that Super Bowl commercial, spend time dancing in front of a fountain.
That's right. Found a fountain that's on this time of the year, but good luck on that one.
Or, maybe it's going to be 65 degrees coming up. Don't be inside doing your taxes. The busiest day of the year for people to try to do their own taxes, President's Day. Everybody's off of work.
Never thought, but
who knew?
Yep.
Don't do your own taxes. Have Jeff do them for you. What's your time worth?
Exactly.
Basically, answer that question. Do you want to be sitting at the desk and going through papers, and your spouse is out playing with the kids while you're sitting there crunching numbers and you call, where's that? Where's your W-2? It's like, don't do all that stuff. Have someone else do it for you. And not to mention that it's going to be done right, but it's going to be done off-site at Jeff's office. Yeah. You're not,
not shipping stuff internationally.
No. It's at Jeff's office. You can go and visit him. You can ask him all the questions that you want.
Yes.
He's going to pick up his phone. The IRS isn't.
No.
And then you can start asking him about, what do I do next week? What do I do the week after that? Every time I get a paycheck, what could I be doing to keep more of what's mine? Hey, keep what's yours, man. Hey, that's the keep what's yours guy. I want to make that a thing that Jeff's walking down the street, having ice cream with his family, getting yelled at by strangers. So,
hey, that happens every day. No?
Yeah. Keep more of what's yours. 636-394-5524. We'll go to commercial break, but we'll come back and wrap this show up. It's Keep What's Yours with Jeff Zufall.
Keep What's Yours continues with Josh Gilbert and Jeff Zufall.
Back at the Big 550 KTRS, back to Keep What's Yours with Jeff Zufall. Here's the number again, 636-394-5524. Why do your own taxes when Jeff can do them for you? What's your time worth?
Exactly.
You know, call Jeff up, say, I want to get on the calendar, I want to come in, hand them your stuff, and then go home and have a nice meal.
That's right.
Spend some time with your family. Let Jeff deal with the taxes. Now, there was some money here in the state of Missouri. We did not get this.
Yes, Missouri didn't get anything.
Last year, there was some COVID credits depending on what state you lived in. Illinois got $500.
Yes.
Every single person in Illinois.
Apparently, every person in Illinois got $500. Well, depending upon your income thresholds.
Right. If you're real rich, you didn't get anything.
You didn't get it. But so the IRS came along 2 weeks ago and said, nobody do your tax return. And it's almost like it was an afterthought. And they're like, we don't know how to tax this or if we're going to tax this.
Yeah. We gave everybody $500, but did we take 24% of that back?
Well, exactly. So that was the states giving it out. I think there were 18 or 28 states, something like that gave money away, which was after the fact COVID, but it still was COVID money. And all of a sudden the IRS realized, hey, these states gave this money away. Did you talk about taxing it? And Illinois is probably like, well, we're not going to tax it, but the federal government always likes to stick their nose in everything. Well, they decided not to tax it. So the bulk of the states, the 18 or 28 that the money was given away, now the IRS is saying that they're not going to tax it.
Okay, you can file your
You
taxes.
can file your return. You have to put it on there if you got technically it's I think it's a W-2G for government or a 1099-G, something
they
of
would
that
have
effect.
sent you something.
That they would have sent you that you would then clock on there. But it needs to be reported on your return just so that the forms match, but it's not taxable.
Yeah. And again, the government has all of copies of all of these forms on their side. So if you leave something off, the math doesn't work. And they say, well, hang on. It's that old-fashioned IRS honor system.
Yeah.
We know what you owe us.
Yes.
So why don't you
just
tell us
send us
and
what
see
you owe
if we
us.
can't catch you.
Yes.
Cheating on your taxes. A lot of times probably people just make mistakes.
It's mistakes. Say 95% of them are mistakes. They're honest mistakes.
Because taxes are hard.
Exactly.
Not only is it math, but it's forms. And
there's stuff that one feeds to the other, and if you don't know how they function, you stumble down that path. And there's a handful that are like, hey, I'm not going to pay this, but we're not doing it.
But here's the thing. If I'm in Illinois right now and I'm doing my taxes, what are the chances of me saying, well, we did to get that $500. I need to make sure I've got my W-2G.
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to say that because I don't even know about it. But you are seeing people's taxes every day.
Yes.
You know how this works. It's old hat for you. You're like, okay, great. You lived in Illinois. Where's your W-2G?
Exactly.
And I say, I don't know.
Did you get that money?
I'll have to go look for it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I just would have left it off. So have a professional do your taxes for you. Don't leave it up to chance, and don't spend all your weekends in March getting all this stuff together. It's just not worth it. 636-394-5524. And while you're in there with Jeff doing your taxes, say, I want to keep what's yours, man.
That's right.
I want to keep more of what's mine. What more can I be doing on every paycheck? What more can I be doing year over year and for the next 15, 20 years to keep more money in my pocket?
In your pocket, exactly.
To keep more money in my savings account, in my 401k, so that not only am I setting myself up year over year, but for retirement, I've got a big windfall coming to me, and hopefully most of it is not taxable to the federal government.
Exactly.
It's all about getting a plan in place, and Jeff can help you do that. 636-394-5524, Capital Advisory Group. Jeff, we'll see you next week.
You betcha.
You've been listening to Keep What's Yours with Josh Gilbert and Jeff Zufall, Senior Tax Strategist and Wealth Manager at Capital Advisory Group. To learn more, call 636-394-5524 or visit CapitalAdvisoryGrp.com.